Hello everybody, my name is Scott Jolly. I'm a nursing student at BYU, Idaho, and this is a presentation on suicide prevention in our own county, in Bonneville County. Okay, just a couple of facts for you. How many suicides were recorded in the United States in 2018? You can pause this video and pick your answer. If you picked A, you are correct. Over 48,000 suicides in the United States. Number two, how many people ages 5 to 24 committed suicide in Bonneville County, Idaho in 2018. Once again, you can pause and pick your answer. If you picked D, you were correct. 87 of our own peers committed suicide in 2018. Number three, which of the following are risk factors for suicide? Go ahead and read through these and pick your answer. If you picked E, you were correct. And our last question, which groups are most at risk for committing suicide? Once again, you can pause and pick your answer. If you picked a B and C, you were correct. Although elderly are at risk for suicide, we will be focusing our efforts on adolescents who are at risk, our teenage individuals. So you can see from these statistics that suicide, especially in Bonneville County, is a significant issue affecting our youth. We have now five high schools in Idaho Falls alone and in Ammon, Idaho, and we include those together. So this presentation is meant to be shared to students attending those high schools and for teachers who need to understand and peers who need to understand the risk factors and how we could recognize the signs and help those who struggle with suicidal ideation and tendencies. So from one of those questions, we learned that mental health disorders, significant changes in life, bullying, and other things of such can lead to suicide. In addition, also mentioned, alcohol or drug abuse is significantly associated with feelings of hopelessness and suicide ideations. Um, when I was in high school, there was an individual who had used alcohol for the first time, and he was caught. And that same night, he committed suicide. Although that's an extreme example, it's a great example and a sad example of what can happen when alcohol or drugs are involved. If anybody has had a plan of action of how they're going to commit suicide, severe changes in their life, just like divorce or a serious illness that they may be experiencing at such a young age, if they've attempted it before, or jokingly or even talking about feeling so hopeless, and it almost seems unjoking when they say it. And coupled with that, changing in their eating habits, sleeping habits, and changes in their desire to do things that they may no longer want to do anymore, that they had a lot of joy in doing before. These are important signs as teachers and as peers in schools to understand and to know so we could save a life. And so that brings us to this next question is of what can you do or what can I do to help this? So what we just talked about, if we go back to these warning signs, we need to know these warning signs of suicide, which means we need to have a relationship with people. In the medical world, we call that building rapport. We need to build rapport and a relationship with these individuals so they can become comfortable with us. When you have built that relationship, you can ask them directly, are you having thoughts of harming yourself if you notice those signs? And ask them a follow-up question, do you have a plan? We need to know the extent of how serious this is and to not leave them alone if they answer yes to any of those questions. The source is going to be medical help. You can call the suicide hotline. It's available 24 hours, 1-800-273-TALK. They should call that. You should call that if you're expecting it and they're not going to call themselves. These last two, it's important to express empathy and to encourage them to express how they feel. They need someone to talk to because they feel alone. They need somebody to know that they are not alone. And when you're there being present with them, it allows them to kind of have those feelings be subsided for a little bit, for maybe even prevent a suicide. These are some minor things that you can help. So know these warning signs. I can't stress this enough. Um, you need to be familiar with these warning signs if you feel that someone could be having an issue, and to ask these questions and get them in touch with a medical professional. So if you're watching this and you struggle with suicide, first I want to know you're not alone. And these are some things that you can do if you feel like committing suicide. First of all, you have worth. Um, you are not alone. You can call and you can talk to somebody. You have so much to live for. And we're going to talk about making a safety plan. This is kind of going to be prevention to help you and for the family as well. Some things that we can do to prevent this. Um, so you need to know your own personal warning signs. So the things that we've gone over before. What are some things that trigger you to feel hopeless, to feel like you can't do it? Are you using alcohol? Are you using drugs? Are those things that you need to get away from? Um, and in addition to that, you need to find coping strategies that are going to meet those needs. Physical, social, mental, spiritual needs. What are you doing to maybe not meet those needs? And some of these needs may need to be met with seeing a professional and seeing a therapist. There's no shame in seeing a therapist at all, or being on medication. A lot of suicide ideations come as a result of mental illness, such as depression, schizophrenia, or bipolar disorder. Um, and that does not mean that you are crazy, or it just means that you're sick. Our bodies get sick in a physical way, like if you have the flu, and sometimes our mind can get a little bit sick as well. And it's important that we understand that these people are not, um, there shouldn't be a stigma associated with this. So you need to realize that. Also, to have emergency contacts, if you do feel like you can have that you're having suicidal thoughts, who can you call and who can you contact? And be sure that you have a safe environment. If there's objects or if there's things that trigger you to commit suicide, you need to get those away and to have those out of your environment completely. Your room, your home, um, your car, and your school. You need to make sure that you stay clear and change your environment. You can create your own personal plan at this link. You can click this link in the comments to create a plan to um, prevent your own suicide. Because once again, there is hope, you have worth, and you're not alone. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me on the YouTube channel, and I'll be more than happy to speak with you further.